What will you take to protect yourself from this threat?
I take no steps. I have a rifle. If anybody comes to my house,
I just got a new coat still. Okay. Got a little brand new feel. Not so fast, switch blade, cut your car wheel. I'm on top, self-made, I'm the real deal.
We're back. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm looking at like what looks like a gray screen, so I'm gonna hope that you guys can see everything fine. The phone gets overheated. I don't know why. I have multiple phones. They're doing the same exact thing. I don't know if it's because it's hot outside. It's not that hot for them to be turning off middle of a video. So what I was going to say is that I want to be able to share and teach when I can without having any restrictions based on how things look. When I said that I'm going to kick it up a notch on the channel, that means that, you know, whether I'm in a baseball cap, I'm coming from the gym, I'm going from yoga, if I have a thought on my mind that's, you know, that's about my books, that's about something that I wrote about, I'm going to upload the content. I'm not going to worry about whether or not I have an editor, whether or not I can edit it myself and still do a terrible job, whether or not I can get it over to an editor, whether or not I have a thumbnail. The best part of YouTube was when things were organic and raw and not so curated. And that's what I love. That's what made me come to YouTube, is that, you know, I would go to some of these hair channels, I would go to some of these, you know, hair review channels. They tell you where to buy the best weave or where to buy the best wig, or they're doing reviews on it. And those things were so, it felt like, you know, you can connect to those people. They were in their homes, you know, and, you know, maybe their hair wasn't looking too good and they didn't mind showing you. I don't want to have to be all dolled up, because I want to present myself the best way possible to the world. Presenting is not all in just packaging, and that's what I wanted to teach my girls, my women, and those who read my book. Because the presentation is not always in just the packaging. You know, the presentation is also in what it is that you are saying, what is it that you are presenting, how you do that, not just, you know, how is packaged. You know, and today I have on some really cool jeans. You know, they have holes in it with my little, you know, my little Hermes sandals, and I'm chilling, and it's okay. I'm not all dressed up. This is me on a day where I'm going to Walmart, or I'm going to the store, I'm going to the health food store, and this should be okay. But I think we live in a world where everything has to be perfect, you know, especially when you're saying you're meeting people where they are. How about they meet you where you are as well? And there's more authentic human connections when you're doing it that way. So I wanted to talk today about how we communicate, and doing that in a way that is not so emotional in nature. I know you hear this everywhere. You hear people say women are so emotional, they're not emotionally well balanced, you know, women are less likely to possess emotional intelligence, and there's whole classes and courses teaching women how to you know, hone in on their emotions and what to do with that. The Return of the Divine Feminine makes it very clear that in order for you to relate to anyone else in this world, you have to have a level of emotional intelligence. You have to have the ability to do some critical thinking, especially if you are trying to get the outcomes that you want to get. You're not going to get the outcomes that you want to get if you don't master those skills. And so I want to talk about mastering those skills today. We're on page 147 in the book, The Return of the Divine Feminine. Go ahead and grab your books. I'm going to go quickly because this phone is getting hot. So let me go ahead and get it out, okay? It says, if you've been one to react in or out of emotions, perhaps developing critical thinking skills would move you. All right? A lot of us are reacting to circumstances or things or anything that happens, you know. We react to it versus respond to it, and there's a difference. There's a very clear difference on whether or not you are reacting or responding, and I'll do that at another video date on how to tell which one you're doing, okay? But on this particular page 146, we go on to say that if you have been one to react or reacts or acts out of emotion, okay, perhaps developing your critical thinking skills will move you closer to Asana energy. So women who are able to tap into, really think things through, not so much as, you know, emotionally making decisions based on how you feel emotionally, but really thinking those things through. And I think that's what the the lesson is that there is a place for your emotions. There is a place for what you feel. There is a place for that feeling that you get. But there's also a space for understanding why you're getting those feelings. What's motivating you feeling that way? Why are you so emotional? There's a place for understanding that, and that hopefully is made clear in the new book, Woman. Hope the umbrella doesn't go away. But that's hopefully clear in the new book, Woman. But I want to make it clear for you today how you feel, what you feel, is not to be completely discounted, because I know a lot of women feel like, well, this is the way I feel, and I feel like I'm being discounted based on what I feel. I want you to understand that your feelings are, things got a little rough, winds got a little rough, but what I would say is that if you are, emotionally charged, there's a place for your emotions. But I want you to understand that there's a reason why you feel the way you feel. A lot of that comes from conditioning. A lot of that comes from our understanding of life and our experiences. And sometimes what we feel may be a misrepresentation on what's actually really happening. And that's the scary part about it, is that I've learned that a lot of things that I've been privileged, or women have shared with me, what they felt emotionally felt so real that they could not escape acting or acting out as they did, because it felt so real, and so that's what I want to teach women. I want to teach you how to understand what part of what you're feeling is real, and what part of that is conditioning, and what part of that is childhood experiences, and what part of that is your own fears, and what part of that is actually you projecting, and what part of that can you trust. Because in order for you to get a sense of understanding who you are and having self-esteem, is being able to trust yourself. But if you're having a hard time trusting yourself because your emotions are all over the place, where do you start? On page 146, all right? For most of our lives, we've destroyed relationships because of our understanding of the circumstances, much to which is backed by emotionally charged outcomes, resulted in no use of reasoning skills, but grounded deeply in how we felt about a thing. We've developed a friendship, partnership, and businesses the same way, based on how we feel. But this way of living is a coasting approach, which leaves one constantly in fear. Our way of living is deeply connected to fear, because most of us have yet to develop our critical thinking skills. If we can tap into our mind power, process a thing without bias, but to at least consider the correlation, consider the facts, and intelligently use that to come to a conclusion, we would hold the power of creating the life we want. Now the question becomes, just how do we do that? So I want to go back, all right? Let me go back. I want to go back to the part that says, if we can tap into our mind power, process a thing without bias, but to at least consider the correlation, consider the facts, and intelligently come to a conclusion. So this is not about what you feel, I feel. This is intelligently considering the facts. This is coming to a conclusion based on the facts that you're presented with. And then, responding, all right? Not acting or reacting, but responding. And responding is a little bit different than reacting, is because responding is you have considered the facts that are at play. You have considered all sides of that thing, and you're able to take the thing for what it is, that thing. And so now you're using the facts that you have been able to consider, and then you are responding based on those things. So I hope that makes sense, okay? Now here are 5 steps to use so that you can strengthen your critical thinking skills, okay? 1, before responding, consider all of the facts. What are the facts? Have you considered those? Consider them by looking at them for what they are, all right? Don't judge them, just look at them for what they are. Consider the facts, all of the facts, okay? Before you respond. So before you say, oh, this is the way it is, because we posted on our community tab a question. A guy, he posted a picture, and in that picture he says, happy birthday, beautiful. Now, you don't have any facts other than the fact that it's a woman in the picture. He posted it on his social media, so she has to be somebody that he cares about, right? Because that's going to be a fact that you consider. And it's a woman, and he posted happy birthday. So obviously he must cares about her. So you got a few facts there, but you don't have any more context other than that, right? And so our mind immediately goes to, this must be some woman that he's dating, right? We're least likely to consider, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a sister, maybe it's somebody that he works with, you know? Because all we have presented to us is the fact that there's a woman on his social media that he cares enough about to present it to the world and say happy birthday. And so I put that on our community tab because I want us to explore what it means to be a critical thinker, you know, and in relationships, not even just in relationships, in businesses and contract negotiations, you have to be able to use your critical thinking skills outside of your emotional ability, okay? Because that's something that we have. God given us the ability to be emotional. That's what allows us to be nurturing and mothers, you know, that piece. But how do we learn how to be critical thinkers, objectively looking at a thing, taking a thing for what it is, just that thing, and not jumping out the window? All right, I see this a lot of times we jump out the window, and when you get a chance to be presented with the facts and you think, oh my God, that was dumb, oh my God, I went too far, and at that point it's probably already too late, because you can't backtrack what you say, you can't backtrack your actions. So I posted that on our community tab so that we can talk about what critical thinking is. In the book, The Return of the Divine Feminine, you're going to turn to page 147. I think I said this beforehand, but if you are someone who reacts out of emotions, perhaps developing your critical thinking skills will be necessary, and that's what we're talking about today. Developing that. So the first thing you want to do is, before you respond to something, consider all of the facts, okay? Bugs are everywhere, sorry. Consider all the facts. Consider if your facts are biased or fair. Now, when it comes to someone that we're dating, of course it's going to be a bias. Of course it's, you know, it's not going to be fair, because the worry of what if I'm being played, what if he's not truthful, what if this is a game, okay? All of those fears are going to come into play. But this is where I want your critical thinking skills to come in, okay? So consider the facts that you presented. Are they fair in nature, or are they emotionally charged, emotionally based, okay? Number 3, evaluate the evidence. My phone is getting hot again, so if it starts to slow down the video and turns off, I don't know if I'll have the strength to come back, because it's the 4th time in the 3rd phone and camera that I tried to do this on. All right. 4, allow time for reflection. Allow yourself to think about that thing. So if he posted today, why wait to send him a text message immediately? What if you went about your day, had your dinner, took a bath, had a sip of wine? You might not even care about it at that point. But at that point, you've had time to process a few things. And then perhaps at that point, you could send me a message. Number 5, conclude. All right, so I said here on page 147, to test your ability to do all of the above, I'll give you a few scenarios, and I want you to consider these things happening to you, how you would react, what you should, what should your reaction be, and what will be your next plan of action. So the first scenario, this is on page 147, okay? The first scenario, wife enters the bedroom. It's 10:47 p.m. and she hears her husband on the line. She assumes it's a female because he's whispering. He's whispering on the phone. Hey, Shirley, what you doing? All right? He's whispering. She can't make out his words. So she stands outside of the master bathroom door, listening. She's ear hustling, trying to figure out what's going on, all right? But within minutes, the call is over. What is your response? So here's the critical thinking skills. What are you going to do? It's 10:47 p.m. It's late at night. You're just now coming out of the shower. Your husband is on the phone, all right, with what sounds like a woman. She's listening. Critical thinking, what do you do? Now, on the next page, I say, please remember your critical thinking skills above. So that goes back to the 5 things that I gave you. Consider the facts, make sure that they're not biased and all that stuff. All right? In the above scenario, if your response would have been to walk in as normal with no suspicion, would that have been a fair assessment? All right? Would it have been a better assessment than the one the wife made by assuming her husband was on the other line with the woman? Would you have accused your husband of infidelity? In the above scenario, the husband was actually making arrangements for his wife's birthday party, all right? And without all the facts, we could have been reacting. We could have reacted to that. He's on the phone. We could have said, who are you on the phone with? Why are you on the phone so late? What's going on? In this case, he was actually thinking about celebrating his wife, and my phone is getting hot. So I hope I was able to create a cohesive video. I tried doing it on phones. I tried doing it on cameras. Unfortunately, perhaps it's not meant for me to get a video out. So if this video doesn't go up, until next time, be empowered, be inspired, and be well.